And good morning. It's 7:04 on this Thursday, June 1st. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company. Our guest host today, Judge Barry Tatum.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks for tuning in on this Thursday, bright, sunny Thursday morning, and it's the first day of June. Hard to believe we've already gone through 5 months, but if you tune in to Coleman and Company, and by the way, Coleman's on special assignment, everything's fine. He'll be back tomorrow, so regular listeners, I know Miss Ann Floyd's always listening, so don't worry, Miss Ann. Mr. Coleman will be back tomorrow. But regular listeners on Thursday mornings know that the first segment of Coleman and Company is sponsored by Bates Ford. And, you know, y'all need to take this show on the road, because every time I've listened and the few times I've come out here, it's always been you two, and you do a great job. Ronnie Kelly and Paul Tubbs, good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's happening in the world of Ford, Bates Ford specifically, I guess?
We got a lot going on. I tell you what, as you mentioned, Miss Floyd, she actually called me at the dealership, and called down there and said that she was an avid listener and talked to me and gave me a little story about when her husband had purchased her car. So I appreciate that. That was pretty neat, her calling and going over that. But we got a lot going on. We got our dealership moving progress. I had a little construction meeting yesterday. Got over there. We're moving right on schedule, so everything's looking good to get a move over to Franklin Road.
Now, Ronnie, I heard a rumor, don't know whether it's true, that at this new place you're going to have more space, higher visibility, and y'all are going to have a feed lot off the side there where you'll start trading for stuff that we'll eat. Is that any truth to that?
Well, for the new lot, there's some truth to that, but on the sideline, we're still in trading for anything that don't eat, because I don't think we could afford to feed everything. We don't have enough room.
Well, that's a catchphrase that Tony Bates has come up with, and I've heard people who live out of town have heard that, and I don't know if it's something that they see on the internet or the advertising, but you'll trade for anything of value as long as you don't have to feed it.
Yes, sir.
And what's the oddest trade that y'all have had that's come in? Most unusual thing? Airplane, helicopter?
I mean, the list goes on.
Casket?
Tony, we had a burial plot.
You had a burial plot.
We did, and I mean, it goes from anything, and that's something back in 08, whenever the economy kind of got rough, and Tony had to think out of the box, and he's pretty good at stuff like that, so he kind of come up with that, and then, of course, I was working for him, and I'm like, you need to patent that phrase, and I'll get messages from time to time from people that I know that are in Knoxville or Upper Kentucky, and they see a dealership trying to mimic what he's done, and it's pretty funny. But, that was something that he thought, hey, how can I supplement my income if I'm not going to car sales? There's other things that people have that maybe that's sitting around, like trailers, boats, RVs, a lawnmower, just anything like that if they want to turn that into cash, or if they want to apply that towards a new vehicle or a used vehicle, that's a way to make us different than the average dealer.
Well, you see people that have something, whether it's an RV or a boat or a bulldozer. If you're not using it, it's costing you money sitting there. Even though it's not running, it could be applied towards something else. So that's a good thing.
And you said what is something odd thing that we traded for. Now, one day a lady came in and she had a wedding ring on, and she said that she was done and she would like to trade that wedding ring. So, we looked.
She really wanted a car, didn't she?
So we took it to the jury, and he gave us a price, and everything worked.
All right.
And that's the real deal. We trade for anything that don't eat.
She didn't want the husband, but did want the car, so it worked out.
Well, y'all got some good cars down there.
Yeah, we do. Our inventory's in really good shape. We actually, we had a great month last month, and we had like we had a little line of electric, Rivian. Tony's brother, that actually worked for us, does a good job. He sold that electric truck last night. We've got a lot of used vehicles that's different makes and models. That's something we've tried to get a little bit more, not just Ford vehicles. We've got Hondas, Toyotas, Nissans, Rivians, just different makes and models. That way, our new inventory, and we do have a lot of good used Fords, but we're trying to get a little bit wider variety so we can kind of meet more needs.
You see a big market presence going in this electric vehicle thing?
I do somewhat. I talked about that with Coleman last week. Like I told him, there's chocolate and vanilla. Tony thinks his wife drives an electric truck. I'm not the greatest fan of electric vehicles. I was telling a story last week how a guy was working for TVA and he left Knoxville, and I guess you have to register for your chargers and stuff with the state. And I guess he pulled up the registration and he had to stop and charge for a couple hours because he was trying to get from Knoxville. He was trying to go to Memphis, but it doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun to me if you're driving from Knoxville to Memphis, stop 2 hours and charge your vehicle up. But that's why I guess they make chocolate and vanilla.
Well, it depends on where you stop to charge up.
That's true too.
Besides the sales and besides the new location and trade for anything you don't eat, got deals on oil changes, tires, batteries. Best deal on a battery, I believe, in town, right?
Yes,
Ronnie?
sir. Paul got that down pat. We got the best batteries, best prices. You can't beat it.
Okay.
And the cheapest oil change.
Service department, is it open Monday through Friday, or has it got Saturday too?
Yeah, we open Monday through Friday. It's open 7:30 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, 8 to 1 on Saturday. I had a customer call yesterday, said I need to make a Saturday appointment. We don't do appointments. We work off first come, first serve generally on Saturdays. And there's times when we got cars lined up to West Main from the door of the service department. So on Saturdays, we got 6 guys that come in and do nothing but oil changes from 8 to 1. And generally, we try to get them in and out. And like I always say every week, we don't just do an oil change where we slap the oil filter and get you on the road and send you out of your way. No, we do an inspection on every vehicle where we'll check your brakes, battery, hoses, give you the measurements, and if there's any necessary needs, we'll let you know.
Well, fellas, as we wrap it up here, I want to thank Bates Ford for the sponsorship. Location is 1673 West Main Street. When people ask for directions, where do you tell them to look for, Ronnie?
1673 West Main, and we tell them look online, and we the dealer that trade for anything that don't eat.
Next to Publix, that's what I always tell them when they call. We're right next to Publix, and soon we'll be 1780 Franklin Road here in about 3 or 4 months.
1780 Franklin Road.
That's us.
All righty. Thank you, gentlemen. With that, it's about 12 minutes, 11 and a half minutes after the hour, and we've got guests lined up here whose voices I think you're going to recognize very distinctively, but a longtime friend. Coleman asked me, said, you got any problem with him being on the show? And I said, absolutely not. So, good morning, Tick Brown.
Why would there be a problem?
There's not a problem, Tick. How you doing there, buddy?
Better than I deserve.
Well, that's another catchphrase that I've heard for years over there.
I wanted to present you with my 2 releases that came out a couple of years ago that I don't think you ever got a copy of. But
No.
I know probably a lot of people don't have CD players now, but
still. you can look at me and tell that I'm still a CD guy.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I have to have all formats. I do a lot
Do
of.
you have an 8-track player?
No.
I don't either.
Yeah, that wasn't a very well engineered device, was it? When you had to stick the match book in the bottom of it to get the heads to line up.
Well, technology's come a big way. I remember somebody had an 8-track player and they made an adapter for a cassette.
Oh, yeah.
And you could stick it in the 8-track player, but then you had it made a smaller opening where you could put in a cassette.
Yeah.
And I remember when CDs came out. Thank you for these, by the way. We've got the Bryan Band Rock and Roll People and Wilson County Tick Bryan Band.
That's right.
Got several tracks on here, and I look forward to listening to these.
Yes, sir.
But even the vehicle I drive is not equipped for Bluetooth. It doesn't even have a jack to put in an adapter for it.
Right.
So, I'm stuck on what is CD technology? That's late 80s, maybe?
Yeah, mid 80s. I started buying my first CDs when the Beatles released their music on CD. That's when I started buying CDs. That's when it became, retail. And they were like $12 each or something back then. But I think CDs are making a comeback. You know how vinyl is making a comeback? I believe CDs are next. So I've got about 500 CDs, at home that I used to use when I was DJing high school dances and, wedding receptions and car shows and class reunions. But it's become so much easier now to to do that without having to keep up with all those, discs.
Well, it's amazing, the technology. I remember buying a Sony Walkman CD player.
Yeah.
You could put one CD in it.
Yeah.
And you could use it for exercise. I believe it was a sport. I've still got it, not in the box, but Polly used to run and jog with that, and she wanted that for her birthday or Christmas one year, and I got her one, and it's you can strap it onto your arm,
Yeah.
and run with it, and or carry it in your hand. And now you don't even have to have that.
No, you got your phone.
Yeah, you got phone, and even a little MP3 player, I think they call them.
Yeah, yeah.
And stuff. So it's amazing how much music you can put on just a thing that's
Thumbnail.
the size of a cigarette lighter.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Something like that. So, but we'll talk about your music when we come back. I've got MJ in there frantically waving her arms, got her headphones on, and she's got a
But she does that all the time, doesn't she?
Oh, she just having one of her spells.
Now.
I shouldn't have said that. All right, we'll go to a word from our sponsors and a traffic report.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways. It's all brought to you by our friends at Absolute Kubota. They have a deal designed to keep you ahead of schedule. Check out the world's #1 selling compact excavator plus 0% financing is going on now until the end of the year. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now with traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. To finish up this accident, everybody's staring at it. It's going to be on 24 westbound, just past 440. It's a little bit busy now through Millersville right now, through that section of Sumner County. On 65 southbound, it's still heavy coming in from the Jolton area on 24 eastbound. Watch for some radar, I-40 out through certain parts of Dixon County. Don't miss Ripley's Aquarium, Sleep with the Sharks Family Edition, coming up June 10th and 11th. Just Google Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Hey, it's Peyton Aldridge from The Voice. I'll be performing my new single, American Backyard, at the Ultimate Barbecue and Country Music Festival, Barbecue Country Fest 2023, June 3rd at Wilson County Fairgrounds. There will be plenty of food trucks, bourbon, and beer tasting, live music, and free parking, so get your tickets today at bbqcountry.com. You're in barbecue country, y'all.
Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing has experienced new leadership and a new atmosphere. Same location in the heart of Lebanon, 731 Castle Heights Court on the Castle Heights campus. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing is providing 5-star clinical outcomes to short-term and long-term care residents. Call 615-444-4319 for a tour and to experience the new culture. Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing.
What is your passion? How can you use that passion to enrich your community? Hi, this is Melanie Minter, President and CEO of the Lebanon-Wilson County Chamber of Commerce. Your chamber is the resource for making connections to fulfill your passion. Whether education, nonprofit, agriculture, entertainment, or government relations, Wilson County offers a place for you to be involved. Your chamber connects businesses, individuals, and your passion to the community. We have an enthusiasm for excellence. Join us and catch the spirit. Call or visit our office at 149 Public Square in Lebanon.
Welcome back to Coleman and Company. Barry Tatum substituting for Coleman, who's on special assignment, as we like to say, but he'll be back, and we were just getting introduced, cutting up a little bit with Tick Bryan. He's on the Lebanon City Council and presented me with a couple of CDs. We talked about music and the changes in technology there. But, Coleman asked me the other day, he said this is a regular meeting or regular time on the show to have somebody from the city council. So I guess in order, if we're going to collect your paycheck, we ought to talk or do what Coleman wants us to do on it. So how long have you been on the city council, Tick?
Well, this is my third term.
Okay.
And it's been a joy, especially these last 4 years, maybe 6 years. And we've got a real good council, and we have had, compared to when I first got on there. And we work together very well, real well. Good, work sessions that we have, very informative and, open-minded. And we just got some good people on there. I hope it stays that way.
Which numerical district do you have?
I'm in Ward 5.
Ward 5 is where?
Well,
geographically?
Of course, it's Weston Heights, where I live, and then it heads on out toward 70 to Maple Hill Road, and it's kind of cut up. It darts in and out. I'm on the north side of Hickory Ridge Road, and the way the district, of course, they do it by population. They try to even out the population for each ward, and they did a good job this time. But there's still some places I need to go drive around and see. People call me sometimes, and I have to check my map, make sure that they are in my ward. Of course, I help people whether they're in my ward or not. I mean, if they got an issue of some kind, I'll help them any way I can.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that things are running smooth, because Lebanon's just gotten so busy. Looks like there's new construction going up everywhere. We got sidewalk projects going on, traffic lights that are happening. I guess that's all a result of the people figuring out what we've always known: Lebanon's not a bad place to live.
No, I hear it all the time that we really are spoiled here in Lebanon. I have new people moving into my neighborhood, and I talk to people all around town all the time that are moving from the west, the north. They're moving here because
you're not talking about Sumner County or Memphis, are you?
I'm talking about different states.
Yeah.
Our church does I go to First Baptist Church, and we do a ministry where we go out once a month. We get names from the county of all the new movers that have moved into the county. And we put together these little buckets that's got all kinds of little neat things in there and information about the church and the county and everything. And the last time my group went, we went to about 6 houses, and 3 of them had moved from San Diego, and they were all in different areas of the county. Now that, to
not
me,
related? Didn't know each other?
No, we were out at Beasley's Bend.
Mm-hmm.
They were from San Diego. Then we came into town, and I can't think of the name of the apartment. I think it was in Joey Carmack's ward, where they built some new, it's all new construction.
Right.
And they were from San Diego. And then we went to another house. They were from San Diego. And another group that had gone out, they had met 2 other separate homes that were from San Diego. So what's going on in San Diego?
Well, I just want to know if you had an interpreter with you to speak that West Coast language that they have.
But they were the nicest people,
right?
And they were so happy to be here.
Did you get an idea from them, or from any of them, or maybe all of them, as to why they felt the need to leave what I've always heard has got the best climate in the United States?
Well, climate, unfortunately, isn't a good enough reason for them to stay where they are. Their taxes are astronomical.
Right.
Property taxes. They have state income taxes. All these, they're being taxed to death. And housing has become so expensive out in these areas that, believe it or not, our housing here is cheaper than most anywhere. Compared to those areas, and they'll sell their home in San Diego, and then they'll come here and buy a brand new home and pocket probably $200,000 or $300,000.
And probably bigger home, newer home,
yes,
and more acreage.
Yes, yeah, and plus, like I said, we don't have a state income tax. Our property taxes are low. Contrary to popular belief.
Right.
And everything is cheaper here, and people are finding that out, and that's why they're coming, I
don't know the metrics or how it was measured and so forth, but I remember years ago there was some study that was done, and Tennessee was 49th out of the 50 states of the tax impact, and that's taking into account sales tax, income taxes, state income taxes, fuel taxes, everything that if you looked at it on just an even keel, not just saying this is how much the government is in your pocket. Tennessee was 49th out of 50 states, and which I'm tickled for. I think that shows that we've got some wise fiscal management at all levels of government. But, we hear about we need to cut taxes, we need to lower our taxes, we need to lower our taxes. I'm thinking, well, are we trying to be 51st out of 50? And, there's only so far that you can go. There's necessary expenses with government is what I'm getting at. And you've seen that firsthand. The city of Lebanon has to make some decisions about infrastructure growth or road improvements, and that has a cost.
And people also don't realize that the cost of doing business increases every year.
Right.
We can't buy pipe, we can't buy fuel, we can't buy just about anything that doesn't go up,
Right.
in price, and that's just the way it is. It's always been that way. I've lived here my entire life. I was born here, and hopefully, we got our, and you're probably familiar with this, it's our our family cemetery, the Bryan Cemetery,
Right.
Out there in Shop Springs where we all originated. But it's always grown.
Right.
Lebanon has always grown. The county has always grown. Now, it probably hadn't grown to this extent, in such a short time. But, I see it leveling off, eventually. I don't know when that'll happen, but I think housing has kind of leveled off a little bit. Then when construction starts leveling off, then, that's my meter. That's what I go by, is construction.
Well, one thing I've heard, just following in the media, not having to make the decisions like you and the council has, is that in order to get retail, like people say we want to have higher end restaurants or nicer stores or things, you have to have rooftops. And, traditionally you think of a rooftop as being a house on an acre or two, but that's gone aside. Now you have row houses, townhouses, apartments, they're all considered to be rooftops. But it does create maybe faster growth impact or a more sudden impact where you have denser housing located at one street, and instead of having 20 new cars coming out, you may have 200 cars coming out. How do y'all balance that? What are the discussions like with the planning with the city or the city council about how do we pump the brakes or how do we move in this direction that we're doing?
Well, personally, I have, I'm against annexing any more property into the city. We had a couple come up last month or so that, it was developers wanted to annex this property that didn't even touch the city limits, and, we voted that down.
Right.
The city, coming from what I see, we're pretty much full right now as far as providing infrastructure, police, fire, sanitation, and I would not ever agree to annex anything else into the city because, like I said, we got all we can do right now.
Right.
People talk about they want, more restaurants and things like that. Well, here's something they probably do not realize is that a lot of these restaurants and things, they have certain benchmarks they have to hit before they come to your town, okay? They have to have a certain amount of income, average income.
Right.
They got to have a certain traffic flow, and if all that doesn't line up and a certain location, then they're not coming, and we just can't bring in that sort of stuff if they don't want to come.
Right.
And people,
There has to be a market for them.
yeah, and people complain about, well, we don't have this, we don't have that. Well, they're also the same people that don't want any more growth, but growth is what brings that stuff in,
Right.
Well,
don't know how many more terms you're going to have with the city. I'm not asking about that, what your future plans are, but having lived here all your life and having seen the changes that you've seen in your life, where would you like to see City of Lebanon if you were going to describe the City of Lebanon 5 years from now, 10 years from now, how would you like to see it described?
well, I can tell you how I wouldn't want to see it. I wouldn't want to see it like Murfreesboro, okay?
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah, I don't want to see that, or or any of these other. We're trying to get a handle on controlling a lot of this stuff, and it's like I say, it's always going to grow.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to continue to grow as fast as it is, but if we got good decision makers up there, hopefully we can control the thing. We live in the best state and the best town in Tennessee as far as I'm concerned, and if you don't believe that, ask my dad.
Absolutely. How are you folks anyway?
Good, really good.
Be
Dad
sure to
goes.
tell them hello.
Yeah, Mom and Dad, hello. I know you're listening.
So they're regular listeners to Coleman too.
Yep, they are.
Well, they were probably disappointed when they heard I was guest hosting on there, but they still tuned in because of you.
No, they love you too, man. Everybody loves you.
Well, good. You've got an excellent family, Tick.
Well, thank you.
I do want to say that, and have contributed a lot to our community. But as we wrap up here, growth is coming. It's one of those things where you may have a favorite suit or a favorite pair of shoes, but eventually it grows out of style, and you just can't stick with it. But you can control what happens in the future. But
yes, sir.
What defines how good we are is the folks that we have and the character of the folks that we have.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Right. Well, listen, thank you for your time and for being out here. Tick Bryan, Councilman for Ward 5 of the City of Lebanon. And with that, MJ's having another one of her spells, waving her arms, frantically saying we need a traffic report and a word from our sponsor.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to our friends at Bates Ford and the Works Vehicle Checkup. They'll make sure your vehicle is ready for any road. $59.95 up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal, tire rotation and safety check. 1673 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. As traffic volume increases even more on 24 westbound up through the Hickory Hollow area, coming in from Rutherford County, Murfreesboro, headed towards Nashville. It's still a little bit crowded down through Millersville right now as we check it out high on 65 southbound. Through that section of Sumner County. Watch for radar this morning, I-40 out in Dixon County, especially around 840. Nash Painting, they service all of Middle Tennessee. If you want your house painted by professionals, you'll call these guys first. Check them out online today at nashpainting.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
And now, a moment of silence to remember our dear friend.
Sorry. Oh, man. Life can be uncomfortable. Your home doesn't have to be. With a wide range of air conditioners, furnaces, and heat pumps, Rheem makes it easy to feel comfortable, even when you can't be comfortable.
Financing available through TVA's Energy Right program and your local power company. Call Randy's Heat and Air 237-3604.
A.G. & Johnson is your experienced real estate and auction company, specializing in residential, commercial, and personal property auctions. Did you know that auctions are a fast and efficient way to sell your property? Auctions reduce time on the market and have an exact selling date. Call us for an in-home consultation today at 615-444-0909. A.G. & Johnson Realty and Auction, 728 West Main Street in Lebanon, or find us online at agandjohnson.com. Voted best auction company in Wilson County.
Heat is cranking up for today with continued chances for thunderstorms this morning. The day isn't going to be a washout, but do be prepared for pop-up showers. Look for temperatures to top out at 85 degrees this afternoon, cooling into the 60s tonight. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's a look at your forecast. I'm number one Ned.
Welcome back to Coleman and Company on this lovely June 1st and second half of this Thursday morning. Coleman, of course, is on special assignment, but we know just as sure as the sun's going to come up in the east that A.G. & Johnson is going to be here for the second segment. We've got Helene Cash. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Jay White. Good morning.
Good morning.
Where's Hayden? Y'all letting him sleep in today?
He's sleeping in this morning.
I kind of find that hard to believe. That he doesn't strike me as one that lets the moss grow on him.
He's probably somewhere in a restaurant having a coffee about now, somewhere in town.
And that's part of what you do is making those connections, isn't it?
That's true.
How long have you been dealing with real estate, Jay?
It's too long to remember, but I think I'm
working on your 5th decade, something like that.
I think I'm just working on my 4th. Working on my
Absolutely.
4th. I think 36 years now.
But you've been a licensed auctioneer for how long?
Since 1984, I believe.
Well, that's you're getting right at 40 years.
Been a minute.
That's not too long after Jerry Johnson and Jim Agee started this.
They
What,
started
77,
they started in
78?
77, 78. They sure did. So I've been with them quite a while.
Now, did you ever, before you got licensed and before you started doing it, did you ever go to an auction and be one of the hands there where you're bringing stuff out and setting it down? And did you get to see what it was like to strike a tent?
I've been around it most of my life, I guess. But
Okay.
yeah, my grandfather was kind of involved in it back in the day, but anyway, yeah, I've been in and around it for forever.
Well, you've got some flyers here, got several of them. Helene's got some property she wants to discuss. We better take off on that.
But I'm gonna let you know, he's still a hand and still brings things out.
Oh, I know it. James is chief cook and bottle washer, right?
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Anyway, we do have some sales this weekend. We're out on Lovers Lane right here in town, just right at the edge of the city limits. We have 34 acres out there, part of the George Etheldy estate. Just a beautiful tract of land. If you're looking for something close to town in a prime location to build an estate home on, or just to have some property to have cattle or horses or something of that nature, barn dominiums are welcome there. It's just a great location right in the heart of Lebanon, and it's an opportunity to buy some great acreage. Saturday morning, a rare opportunity, really. Ride out and take a look. If you're looking for some property, you will be happy with these tracts.
It's pretty close into town, too.
It is right in town. You'll be able to buy some acreage right in town. Next Saturday, we're going to move down to the west side of the county. We're going to be right in the heart of Providence. I guess on Belinda Parkway there. Just right outside of the shopping district there. We've got a nice little home down there. It's just a neat little 3-bedroom, 2-bath home down there. It's been kind of remodeled some. We've got lots of personal property and antiques to sell along with that. But if you're looking for something kind of down on the west end of the county that's not too big, if you're looking to downsize a little bit, or just looking for a first-time homeowner looking for something, it's just right off the interstate there, just right in the middle of everything that's bustling. So just ride out and take a look at that at your convenience sometime this week. But next Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, we'll be selling it along with personal property. And then we'll move on over. Today, we have an online sale that started. We have some antiques that we're selling online. If you'll get on and register with us on our website at agandjohnsonauctions.com and just go through and preview. We will have a preview on these items next Sunday afternoon out on Hunters Point Pike. If you want to come out and take a look at these items next week, but they are available to bid on between now and June the 18th, starting today. But we have tools, antiques, musical instruments, patio furniture, just lots of different assortment of different items there that we're conducting an online sale with. So we've got a little bit to do in the next couple of weeks, and we've got some more things coming. If you're looking at having a sale, give us a call. Like we always say, you just can't conduct these just overnight. It takes a day or two to get them ready, but we have some dates available in the summer, and also in this coming fall. So give us a call if you're interested in having an auction sale. We'd love to come out and talk with you about handling it for you.
A lot of information there about auctions, and
There's a lot.
agandjohnson.com is where you can register. But Helene, you've got some MLS listings.
We sure do. Or you can give us a call at 615-444-0909 if you have any questions. We have 2 new listings, one on the west side of town in Waters Hill. Not a lot comes available in Waters Hill very often, so this is a stunning 4-bedroom, 3-bath home. It's a gated community, and there's a lot of people always looking for gated communities. A 3,000 plus square foot home, fireplace, gas appliances in the kitchen. If you're interested in that type of home, give us a call there. And we've had a new one come available in Gordonsville. We're seeing a lot more happen in Smith and Trousdale County. A lot of people looking out, they want a little bit more land. They're looking for that beautiful view. They don't want to be in the hustle and bustle of Wilson County. So they're looking. So this is a wonderful just under 1,300 square foot home, 2-bedroom, 2 full bath. The view is spectacular. It has a couple decks, a patio. It's move-in ready. It's on a hilltop. It's only 4 miles from I-40, and it has 16 plus acres. And that one just came online within the last few days, and that's under $380,000 right there in Gordonsville. So give us a call at 615-444-0909 or head on over to the website at agandjohnson.com, and you can find all the MLS listings, or you can find the auctions and you can register for the online auction and you can bid and have a good time.
I don't know what's going on, but I can't keep up with all the information that y'all thrown out here. That's the reason you need to get on the website.
Yes.
And take your time, and I wish you had the flyers on here. But it sounds like that Gordonsville property up there, that's somewhere you could just basically
it's
hunt off your
perfect for
deck.
hunting and hiking and just right from your back door, and has DTC fiber optic. I mean, the technology is there. You can work from home. You don't ever have to leave and just have a beautiful view. I'm a little envious.
Well, that does sound like a place. What do you call it? Shangri-La.
Shangri-La.
Yeah, Shangri-La. Jay, got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
You know how Lover's Lane got its name, don't you?
I do not. Give us a little history here.
I'll discuss that after that.
Were you involved in that?
We'll discuss that off the air with you.
What's it, submarine races?
But nonetheless, you got an auction coming up this Saturday at 10 o'clock, and that's out here at George Adley's estate. Got some 4 tracts of land, property. Take a look at it. It's beautiful. Just looking at the flyers on here, and you got elbow room, I guess you would
Absolutely.
like to call it. And
In-town elbow room.
and then if you want to be closer into Nashville with, I noticed down here, one of the things you had on here was a World War II M1 bayonet, but you don't have a M1 rifle.
No, sir. No, sir. Not the M1. We just got the bayonet.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind grabbing hold of an M1 at some point, but nonetheless. Anything else y'all want to talk about before we wrap it up here?
We're always looking for new listings. We're looking for clients who are looking to either upsize or downsize, looking for commercial property, investment property. We're here to help you. We have over 25 agents that work with us, and they each have their own specialties. So we have someone that can help you with your needs.
All right. Helene Cash, Jay White, thank you so much. And maybe, you can go find Hayden and see what he's accomplished at breakfast this morning.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. All right. Thanks, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Y'all. Y'all have a great day. Enjoy it. And with that, it's about 19 minutes before the end of the show, top of the hour, 8 o'clock, and we've got Tim Leeper of Tim Leeper Roofing. Good morning.
Morning. How are we doing this morning?
Well, we're doing well, and I hope you're not disappointed that you got the B team here today, and Mr. Coleman is out on special assignment, as we like to say.
Not at all. I was glad to see you here.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, but I know with the time that you have, this is your time to promote your business, but also other activities you're involved in. And I believe the last time you were on here, I heard them talking, you had the days counting down to your presidency of the Rotary Club. Is that right?
That's right.
How many days are we down to now?
Well, the 27th is the last meeting, so technically it's 28 days, including today.
Well, the good thing is nobody's tried to oust you ahead of time, so that must mean that you're doing a pretty good job.
That's right. I think that if they oust me, they know they may have to pull double duty to finish the year. So
now, I've always heard that. Somebody said, "How did you get to be in the position you're in?" Well, I missed a meeting. I skipped a meeting and I got nominated, but that wasn't the case with you, was it?
No, I was nominated, and I told them, I said, well, let me think about it. And the next thing I know, they said, well, you've been approved. And I said, well, I thought we were going to let me think about it. They said, well, we did. You didn't say anything. No, it's been a good year, though.
They didn't tell you how much time that you had. How long have you been a Rotarian?
I started really only back in 2018. I probably would have done it years earlier, but I just, I wasn't invited. Nobody,
right.
And people get busy and they don't think about it.
Right.
But it's kind of like church, that's how people come. They say, well, somebody just invited me to church. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with Rotary. You just invite folks that you think would be a good fit. And so when I was doing the ballpark work, renovating the Elmer Elkins Field over here, I went around and spoke to some of the clubs in Mount Juliet here in Lebanon, and in doing so, I knew a lot of the people in the Lebanon club, and I thought it would be a good fit for me. It was it was things that I'd already done anyway, but now I just found a corporate setting for it, so it was a good fit.
Well, I'm sure, but I'm assuming you're going to stay active in
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because do a lot of good things that a lot of good people at the Rotary Clubs, but all of our civic clubs do. And that's one of the things that civic clubs historically have been on the decline. And I guess it's because people have the means or the time or the ability to do more traveling, but they were a big part of a community, much larger component of a community when things were more static, and you kind of grew up in the same town, you lived in the same town, you worked in the same town, and you knew all your neighbors. But seems like it's a struggle to keep building people, inviting people into Rotary and be a part of that.
Well, the two clubs we've got here in town, we've got the Breakfast and the Noon Rotary Club, and both of them, we just inducted 3 new ladies the other day in our last meeting. We've had pretty good success. You'll have some that, or have to go for health reasons, or, that just naturally they just pass. And but other than that, we've done a pretty good job here in Lebanon of keeping Rotary strong, both in the morning and the noon club.
Well, hopefully that will continue, and it's good to know that you're going to continue to be involved with Rotary. But look in there at the control booth. See how she's flailing her arms. I've never seen her like that this morning. I'm going to have to stop bringing you that
You're crazy.
Coffee.
You are crazy.
All right. With that, we're going to go to MJ and a word from our traffic report and sponsors.
I love you, though. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. It's all brought to you by our friends at Absolute Kubota. They have a deal designed to keep you ahead of schedule. Check out the world's #1 selling compact excavator plus 0% financing. It's going on now until the end of the year. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Still some traffic volume coming through the Mount Juliet area right now, leaving Wilson County headed towards Nashville on I-40 going westbound. It's pretty crowded now, right on schedule out of Rutherford County on 24 through Antioch as you make your way towards Hickory Hollow Parkway, westbound 24. 24E still a little bit heavy through the Jolton area coming in from Cheatham County. I know we had a couple of wrecks out there earlier this morning. Hey, it's time to call Crest Pest Control. These guys do way more than the average pest control company. Check out a list of their services at crestpestcontrol.net. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Get ready for the ultimate barbecue and country music festival, Barbecue Country Fest 2023. Join us in the smoke-filled, fire-breathing, steak-sizzling heaven on June 3rd at the Wilson County Fairgrounds in Lebanon. Hear country music stars Billy Dean, Chad Brock, and Andy Griggs perform live. Plus, John Party will be there filming the final episode of Barbecue Country and crowning a backyard barbecue champion. Get your tickets today at bbqcountry.com.
Hey, this is Paul at Bates Ford. We got some great deals going on for you. 0% interest is back. We've got 0% interest on F-150s and Edges and rebates even up to $3,000. On the service side, we've got the Works vehicle package, which includes an oil change and a tire rotation. We'll meter beat anybody's price on tires. We have batteries for the low price of $149.95 installed on most vehicles. Come see us at Bates Ford, 1673 West Main Street, or visit us on the web at www.tonybatesford.com, the dealer that'll trade for anything that don't eat.
I do a lot of thinking while I'm driving. I think about my kids, my grandkids, and my insurance business. When's the last time you thought about having your insurance program reviewed? This is John Bryan with THW Insurance. We're an independent, trusted choice insurance agency representing several top-rated insurance companies like Westfield Insurance Company. Give me a call at 615-443-3849 for a no-obligation review of your current insurance plan. THW Insurance Services, serving Lebanon and Wilson County for decades.
Welcome back to Coleman and Company. We're on the home stretch, as we like to say, and we've got Tim Leeper of Tim Leeper Roofing here talking about his involvement in the Rotary Club, but your business. I mean, that's, Tim Leeper Roofing kind of tells it all, tells who it is and what you do. So what would you like to talk with about your business this morning, if that's where we want to go, Tim?
Yeah. We've been in business. I've been doing roofing for almost 30 years now, and started right out of high school. I thought I was going to be a professional baseball player for a while, and I realized that was not going to happen.
How did you come to that realization?
Well, I just thought, as a kid growing up, you think, well, I'm pretty okay, ball player. We can, we'll make a run at this thing. And they had tryouts back in the days where, I don't know if you remember, they would bring, like Cincinnati Reds would come to town and they would like have Aquinas and they would have a tryout day, just open tryouts. And we had that also for the Atlanta Braves at MTSU. And so me and my brother both went to try out for those camps just as a walk-on. And, very rarely they're going to find anybody at those camps. You just never know.
You better have some blazing speed on your feet or your arm.
You better be fast. Yeah, really both. Really both. So when I realized that wasn't going to happen for me, I was in working in the restaurant industry at night, waiting tables, and during the day I was I was working general construction for a guy. And so it just that gradually led me into construction, into roofing. I realized that I wasn't going to be a waiter all my life. I obviously wasn't going to play baseball, but this was a good way to go to a different place every day and make an okay living. Of course, at 18 years old, right out of school, if you got $400 or $500 at the end of the week, that was a pretty good week.
Oh yeah.
And so that's what got me into roofing. And, after having done it this long, I've learned a lot of things not to do. I've gotten pretty good at that. But, it's really just wash, rinse, and repeat and just do it better on the next job than you did the last job. And, you'd be surprised what you can learn just doing basic stuff, doing the same thing over and over and over again, trying to get better every time.
You get better at it, you get faster at it. And it becomes second nature on there. But I remember when I was out here before one time, substituting for Coleman, had you out here and asked you something along a similar question. If I remember this correctly, you said you were 18 years old working in construction. You got tired of having things thrown at you and getting cussed at by these old framers that didn't use air nailers. They were the old school that had claw hammers and crowbars and probably missing pieces of fingers and so forth. They'd been doing it for years.
Yeah, they were dentist's dream too. They didn't take good care of the teeth, and they just all they did was worked. And but it was a different time. Back then, you don't really yell at these kids today. They don't respond to that. But back then, that's just how things got done. And so I realized early on that I didn't like to get yelled at, so I wanted to try to figure out how to do it as right as I could. And again, I did a lot of things that year. He was just an old craftsman that he would go around the country, this guy I worked with, and he would disassemble log homes, have them shipped on tractor trailers back to Middle Tennessee and Franklin and Brentwood usually. Yeah. And he'd assemble them, and sometimes he'd have people waiting 1, 2, 2.5 years for them to assemble these cabins on their property or to do an addition on their existing log cabins.
Right.
And so he was just, he didn't have a lot of patience. His job was to make sure that that his projects were done, and I just happened to be the only guy that worked with him because my uncle, he would come and go, who was a really good carpenter himself while he was alive. He was a really good carpenter, but he wasn't always the most steady showing up to work. And so when he would go missing for a couple of weeks, he had to have the B team.
Right.
And so I was basically, I barely knew which end of the tape to hold. And, I could kind of hold boards while he cut them. But other than that, I had to learn a lot on the job.
Right. Well, let's make sure people don't misunderstand what we're talking about here. Coleman is not here today. Not because of something like that of laying out of work. Coleman's got a legitimate issue that he's dealing with, so it's not he had too much fun last night. But you transitioned into roofing. How long has Tim Leeper Roofing been in business on your own?
We started 2004, the Thanksgiving of 2004, and in 2005. In February 2005, I'd started it, but it was kind of a part-time thing for a couple months. And then 2005, I don't know if you ever remember when Dave Ramsey started his Entree Leadership program. And that was the first program that he had. I was one of the 62 members that I'd I didn't have the money to go, but I knew that I needed to learn some more about business than what I knew.
Right.
So I spent the money and went to the Entree Leadership, which was a full week.
How
at
much
that
did
time.
that cost, by the way?
Well, it's $4,000 for everybody else, but for me, they were trying to fill the last few seats. They said, well, you're a local guy, and we'll give you a $2,000 rider, but, you just, statute of limitations, I believe, have run out now. I can tell it's $2,000, but that's what I spent. I spent $2,000, honestly, that I didn't have.
Right.
But I needed, more information than what I have about running a business. And I tell you what's the best money that I've spent to start a business, because Dave's got some pretty practical business advice and money advice.
Care to share some of that with us? Or maybe some things that you've learned?
One of the things that I've learned from that class is you have got to keep track of your money. And if you don't do it well, you need to hire somebody that does. And, while you're going out here and putting these roofs on, at the end of the day, everything has a cost. And you need to make sure that you can take in more than you're putting out. And if you can do that, you can stay in business. And early on, I didn't take that advice that I had spent the money to take. And so I just kind of let that go by the wayside. And I didn't really fully understand the accounting part of things. I was just trying to be good at what I was doing in the roofing part. But that accounting part really has an effect on whether you stay in business or not. And so after a while, I finally found an accountant and, a CFO kind of on a fractional basis that would come in once a month and work with us on our financials. But basically what he did is he took that financial report for business and the cost and broke it down to where I could understand it. And that's what Dave, taught. He said, hey, you need to find somebody that can explain your financials every month to you as if they were explaining it to a 7-year-old and make you understand. And that's what he had to do. It took a while to find it, but that was the key piece of advice he ever gave me, because after that, you just realize that the other stuff we do is just part of work. But if we don't take in more than we put out, we're not going to be in business.
Sounds like there's 435 people up in Congress that can benefit from that information. Don't be spending more than you have coming in.
Yeah.
Don't want to go down that political road, but that's just a sore spot. I think things are run well here locally, and local government and state government, but got an issue at the federal level.
Yeah, that's
overextended. As far as anybody, whether it's certainly roofing, you would invite competition because you've got an established name on here, and it makes you better. Competition does, but for anybody that's thinking about starting their own business, they've got a skill, they've got a product, they've got something that they know well, that they're confident in. What advice would you give to someone who's considering about, I've got a dream to have my own business, not necessarily about the financials, but what advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about that?
I'd probably tell them to staff your weaknesses. If you're not good in finance, get somebody that is good in finance. If you're not good in sales, get somebody that is good in sales. Find people that are smarter than you that can work with you, that can complement where your strengths are not. And that's true. A lot of people have a hard time with that. If they feel like that they hire somebody smarter than them, they're going to take over. Well, it's your company, and they may go out and start their own company. But at the end of the day, you've got to trust enough that these people are they're going to build onto your vision. And you just can't do it all yourself. You can't grow anything of substantial size yourself. You just can't.
Well, that's really good advice. I've heard that before. If you surround yourself with good people, it makes you look good, and it gives them the opportunity to do well. You just have to, be attentive to their needs, and if they do want to move on, that's good for them because you've given them that opportunity and skill set to do it. So.
We've had several people that have gone and started their own business, and I welcome that because at the end of the day, as long as they're not making a lateral move,
right, and
they're making a move up for what's good for them and their family, can't be upset. And we don't do, a lot of people do non-competes. We don't do that.
Right.
If you want to go and start your own business, that's fine. There's certain, properties that we have that you can't just go take our paperwork with you and things like that. You'd be surprised who tried. But for the most part, we just don't do that non-compete stuff. That's how people make their livings.
Right. Well, as far as anybody that's got a roofing concern, you got an old roof, maybe a new construction, maybe it's a repair. What's the scope of your service, scope of your work, and how do they need to get in touch with you?
We do a ton of repairs. We do lots of repairs, lots of replacements. We don't do a ton of new construction. On the metal roof side, I will do new construction, but I typically don't do that for shingles. So repairs and replacements. We also do commercial roofs, and we're easy. I don't know if they do it anymore, but I always used to like to have the website only on the trucks because people always want to go to the website. They'll check you out, look at your Google reviews, but it's timleaperroofing.com and mamasmetalroofing.com, and then you can find anything.
Metal Roofing.
Mama's Metal Roofing.
And how did you come up with Mama's?
Well, that's a long story that we can talk about off the air, but it's a good story. We'll talk about it another time when we have a little bit more time.
All righty. So Tim, leaperroofing.com, and that's Leaper spelled with 3 E's, Leeper.
Correct.
Roofing.com. And by the way, since we're on here, you did some work for my sister, brother-in-law's house. Did a great job. Roof looks great.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else, Tim?
No, sir.
All right. Well, I'm glad that the baseball career didn't work out, although you probably wouldn't be here talking about roofing on the show, and I'd be lining up to get your autograph somewhere. But thanks for tuning in to Coleman and Company. Be sure and tune in tomorrow and get Coleman's update on his whereabouts and what he's been involved in. And until then, y'all have a tremendous day.